So today we're going to be talking about protein, timing for fat loss, and this strategy is something that nobody really teaches. First of all, I said the key word fat loss because there's a difference between fat loss and weight loss. Okay, most people don't really understand or could really make a distinction between the two, but there's a huge distinction. From 2018, I would call it weight loss, right? Back in the day, I would call it weight loss. But since evolution and information is ever so changing, we had to maneuver to fat loss. About 2 years ago, we started. It's funny because in our building, it says weight loss. In both of our buildings, it says weight loss. I can still use that term because you can identify with it. But down to the nitty gritty, I want to let you understand that there's a difference between weight loss and fat loss. Weight loss is when it's a total number and you step on the scale and you are trying to lose weight. When you lose weight, you can lose a combination of fat and also muscle. Now we have the technology that we can lose fat and body fat. That is the most important distinction between this journey for most people because you're not losing muscle mass when you are on a fat loss journey because you can actually see what it is. The best way to really sum it up is to understand protein. So today's topic, we're going to be talking about protein and what that timing is. Really important stuff because most people think that protein is just a number, like hit 150 grams and everything works. But protein is not just a number, it's not just a macro. Protein is a signal to your body and it tells your body what tissue to protect while you are on this exercise journey. If your diet, right, if you diet with also random protein, your body will burn fat a lot slower and sacrifice muscle mass a lot easier. So today, I really want to break down the three parts that nobody explains in plain English, right? Plant versus animal structure, and also distribution. So it's really important to understand the difference. And by the end, you're going to know exactly what to do starting tonight, right? So I've seen people lose 20 pounds and look worse because they lost muscle mass. I've gotten on phones. Literally, last month in February, I had somebody that was on that weight loss drug. And the funny thing is, she came to me a year ago and signed up with us and then made an excuse on why she couldn't exercise. Oh, it's my time. I don't have time. Schedule, whatever. That was in January of 2025. April, she got on the shot and she's like, oh my God, I lost all this weight. The beautiful thing is, I actually took her measurements and I saw what her body fat percentage was when she actually signed up in the beginning, which was January 25. Then not yesterday, last month, I saw her body fat percentage increase by about 5%. When you're on the drug and you're still in the 40s, remember, you have 5 to 10% body fat all the way to about 50. If you're over 50, that means you have more fat than you have muscle, mass, bone, tissue, and organs. If you're around 45%, 40 to 45%, you're in a morbidly obese category. The only way that you can really measure body fat is through raw calculation, machines, and things like that. So weight loss is only you standing on a scale and seeing the numbers go down that way. That's a bad way to measure how much fat you're actually losing because you can't figure it out that way. But if you know how much you weigh on a scale, because I'm not saying that the scale is wrong, just a wrong thing, it's a metric to use. If we know your weight, let's say you're 200 pounds, 250 pounds, and we know that you're 45% body fat, well, we'll take 200 and 50, right? And you take 250 and you multiply that by 0.45. So that'll tell me you have 112 pounds of raw fat in your body, 112.5. So we'll know exactly where you are in that respect. And I typically will round that to 113, right? So 113 pounds of raw fat. If we see that number continuously go down, well, guess what? We know you're getting towards your goals. So you have 113 pounds of raw fat if you're 250 pounds and you're 45% body fat. You also have 137 pounds of muscle, bone, and tissue. Your muscle mass has to go up. When a lot of people take these drugs and these procedures, their muscle mass goes down as well as their fat. A lot, in most cases, you lose about 60% of fat. I'm sorry, 60% of muscle mass and about 30% of body fat. And that is not the right way to do it, because then once you go all the way down, you hit a plateau. And then they'll either higher the dosage, and your body does not look good. It's not that good looking weight loss, right? Fat loss, when you're exercising, looks totally different because you're putting on muscle mass. So we have to understand now what's going on with this protein. Protein plays a huge part, right? So protein first starts with timing, right? And if we also break down protein, what is the definition of protein? Protein is amino acid structure. That's all it is. There's 9 different amino acids that make up protein. So if you have about 3 to 4 different amino acids, then you can say that that's protein. It's not a complete protein, but nevertheless, it's protein. Let's say you ate some almonds. There's about 3 to 4 amino acids in those almonds. It's incomplete. It's protein, technically, but it's incomplete. If you were to eat a piece of chicken, or in Doncha's case, piece of salmon, that's a complete amino acid structure. Oh, I'm sorry, not the salmon. I'm sorry, too soon. Too soon. We're going to move on, okay? Chicken. Let's go back to chicken. Let's go back to turkey. You got it. There's 9 essential amino acids that complete it, that bind it. That's what makes a complete amino acid structure. You can have 7, and it's 7 out of 9, and that can also be not considered a complete, but it's also just the right things. Now, let's say if you were to eat vegetables with it, you can then get some amino acids from your vegetables, which also makes it complete as well. So there's many different ways and there's different strategies that you can, that you can go with, right? So we just have to understand what that is, okay? So timing, okay? Let's go with that. So protein timing, after you finish a workout, I typically have our clients do a shake, and they use our protein shakes. That is one of the best things to do because it enters your bloodstream immediately and it sends the message to preserve your muscle. Because when you work out, you do not build up muscle, you tear it down. Okay? When you tear down your muscles, every single muscle fiber you have in your body is composed of a long string called a sarcomere. Inside of it, you have a thick contractile filament called myosin and a thin contractile filament called actin. And when you work out your muscles, they tear. So the food you eat goes to repairing your muscles, but you have a window when you're exercising. You have typically between 30 to 40 minutes before your muscle receptors close up. And then your body goes into a somewhat of a catabolic phase. Now, if you're doing an intermittent fasting, there's some difference in that. Because if you worked out at 9 a.m. and you break your fast at 12 or 1, there's a different, caveat to that. Because your body, if it doesn't get the protein, it can create human growth hormones. It can create lipolysis where your body starts eating fat. There's many different things. But if you are regularly eating and you just miss a meal, or you just chronically miss meals, sometimes you eat breakfast, sometimes you don't, sometimes you scatter and you're not really training your body, well, then you can turn your body into a catabolic phase. Catabolic meaning cannibalism, like Hannibal Lecter. Your body and your muscles can start eating itself. That's what starvation is. If you, one of the crimes that, one of the punishments with crimes was crucifixion, right? We all know Jesus was on the cross, right? He died on the cross. But that was the Roman punishment for many different things, thieves and stuff like that. They put you right on there. What would happen is your body literally would start eating fat first. It has no other place if it's starving. They literally put you on a cross and you starve to death and you die. Ugh. Now, the first thing that happens is your body starts to eat itself. Literally, it starts to go into a catabolic phase. It starts eating itself. It starts looking for all of the different fats that's in it. If it can't find any fat no more, it starts to eat protein, which is your muscle. It'll start eating your muscle mass heavily. And then after that, it starts eating organs, it starts shutting down, and then you're screwed. That's it. That you're done. You're gone. So, you know, understanding that muscle protection signal is extremely important after you finish working out. Now, when you're in a calorie deficit, your body basically is asking one question all day: what can I afford to keep? Right? It will keep what you prove is useful and supported, right? So if you're fasting and you're in a calorie deficit and we're trying to lose waste, because that's what fat is, body fat is nothing but waste, then what will happen is strength training, the muscles that we're working with will prove muscle is useful and protein proves muscle is supported. And when either one is missing, muscle becomes negotiable. This is why some people get smaller and not actual tighter. So we have to work on recovery, number one. We need to understand our hunger cues, number two, meaning and we need to understand our cravings, right? Because hunger, right? Protein tends to reduce cravings when we're hungry. So typically for me, I know a lot of people, they tend to, people that are on protein, they'll tend to watch different videos, people that are looking to put on muscle. A lot of the times with a lot of our professional women, they're like, I don't want to get bulky, right? That's another one. I just got to say, and because I'm talking about muscle, I'm talking about protein, you will not get bulky. You will not put on a kind of muscle. You're not going to look like a bodybuilder. I don't know why a lot of people think that. That is not true at all. That is not how it works. You actually have to put real work in and effort in order to get like those women. Trust me, if you do not want to be like those women, you will not be like those women at all. So, the hidden timing problem nobody talks about, right? The protein problem, which is disguised as a schedule problem, is they miss their protein on an early time, in the morning time, or an evening time. They don't really hit their macros the way that they should, and then they snack. They go on those snacking journeys. They snack, 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 snack. And then they try to rescue the day at dinner time. And your body can't go back in time. Dinner can't protect your muscle because you already broke all of that down, right? So, everybody that's in the chat, maybe you can answer this question for me. So, what's the longest you go in a day without eating? Any real protein? Type in the chat. Is it 5 hours, 4 hours? Many of you guys work in a professional manner and you have to, you guys go all in on your job. neglect your eating times. You just don't eat. Many of you guys just do that, and it's not good. A lot of you guys don't get that in. Tell me who in this chat, has that issue. If there is an issue, if not, then great job. So, fat loss is easier when you keep muscle because muscle is metabolically expensive tissue. Muscle mass is expensive tissue. I want you guys to understand that. That is your 401k. When we work out and exercise, we are working out for the future. So we take preemptive measures. This is why it's not sexy in the gym, right? This is why the work, the hard work, the exercise, and all those things, that's why they don't look good. That's why it's not flashy. That's why it doesn't, right? It's like a tree. When you're putting on muscle mass, it's like a tree that's growing roots in the ground, right? Everybody sees that tree that's up top that's visible. You see the beautiful branches, the leaves, but nobody sees the hard work, that digging that has to go under the ground, that has to work triple hard. Those roots of the tree that has to go deep down in order to keep that tree stable and continue to grow. Nobody sees that. That what muscle mass is. It's expensive tissue that nobody sees. And the more muscle you have, the longer you will live. The more muscle you keep, the better your body handles food. The more muscle you have, the better your metabolism behaves. You can go off on a binge. You can eat some chocolate cookies. You can eat that chocolate cake. Look at that. So I want you to just lick your lips. Don't be thinking about that chocolate cake too hard. We on this fat loss journey, okay? Don't do that. All right.
Then don't bring it up.
Well, we gonna bring it up. We gonna bring it up. So, it's like what my mouth was watering. So anyway, when it comes to protein, your muscle retention and the amino acid structure is what helps break down and create muscle mass. But the problem is we do not have organization in order to build up the lean muscle. This is where we come in. We love to give a standard um where we're building up lean muscle, and our goal is to get everybody on the app so that we can start measuring the personal best. So like on a Monday, if we're doing legs and you're on a machine, particularly the leg press, we can measure and see how strong you are, and you are recording that in there so we can see your progress. That is the actual goal. And many of us don't do that, but we need to start working on that, right? So let's talk about the plant and the animal protein, right? So this is where you can really learn and understand something that we really need to know, okay? So like I said before, proteins are amino acid, and your body doesn't absorb chicken or beans as chicken or beans. It breaks them down and uses amino acid, right, from this actual substance of food. The difference in animal protein, let's pay attention. The difference in animal protein usually comes as a complete protein with higher density, and these are the key essential acids. This is one of the reasons why we sell branched chain amino acid. It's valine, isoleucine, and isoleucine. These are the three essential amino acids. You got that, you got everything. When you go to the gym and you see people drinking that water bottle with the colorful drink in it, they're drinking branched chain amino acid and they're putting it back in there. And we got it, right? So when you're working out, that's putting it right in there. Okay. So many plant proteins also work but you often need higher volumes, to tell you the truth. Better combinations, which is the reason why I like to mix walnut or peanut butter with my vegan pea protein. It's really better on the digestive system also. And I love plant protein. Okay. But I do understand that you need a mixture of all of them. You can't just eat plants and think that your body's going to, metabolize it like a rhinoceros or a silverback gorilla. It just doesn't work like that. So their bodies and their stomach acid can utilize more amino acids, and that actually works, but it doesn't work for everybody, right? Every species. So what we need is we need completeness when it comes to protein, and we also need density, right? So completeness is, do you have all essential amino acids in your food? And density is how much you get per bite with your food, right? Plant protein versus animal protein. People fail with a lot of plant based proteins. I was a vegan for 10 years, and I can tell you now, I wasn't getting all of my protein. It almost turns you into a carbitarian, right? A lot of plant based meals are high in calories and it's really low protein density. So, to really give a strategy with plants, right? If you are plant based, because I was plant based for many different years, so I'm not, in no shape or form not promoting it. If I ever was met with any type of disease, I'm going back to being plant based, right? Because I know that that works. So, what we have with plant based is we need to use higher amounts of protein when it comes to plant sources in different blends. So, our protein powder, that's one of the reasons why we use that. We're upping different types of combinations, chickpeas, different type of beans, lentils, walnuts, you know, we can hit our actual target with plant protein. So don't ever let anybody fool you and say that you can't. Now, when it comes to the daily distribution of protein, this means how many times a day, realistically, do you hit a real protein feeding? Most people do better with 3 to 4 protein hits, which is like three meals, right? Just to be exact. Not random snacks at all. You can't hit your protein goals with snacks. It just doesn't work. You really want protein, a real protein, because it keeps your muscles protected and it keeps your hunger stable. When you have protein, you're no longer hungry. You can eat so much carbs, eat so much snacks, and just become hungrier and hungrier and hungrier. Because a lot of times when you're dealing with carbs, and I need to really break this down as far as carbs, right? Let me tell you guys something. I want you to listen this up. And for the folks that are writing this down, write this down right here. So you have carbs, carbohydrates. Carbohydrates is a combination, if you break it down, carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, right? So carbs is what they call it. But there are simple carbs and there's complex carbs. But I want you guys to understand that all carbs are not the same. And many times when you have carbs, you are actually eating a dehydrating carb, not a hydrating carb. So there's carbs that can hydrate you, and then there's carbs that can dehydrate you. Macaroni and cheese can dehydrate you. Oatmeal can dehydrate you because there are key ingredients and elements like rice. When that goes into your body, what it does is it opens up and expands with the liquid and it pulls water. It does not hydrate your body, it dehydrates. This is why you can eat it and your stomach will feel bloated and your stomach will expand. Can cause gases and things like that. Whereas if you were to eat a pineapple or a grape or a watermelon, dehydrates your body. It's a hydrate. It's a real carbohydrate. I don't even know why they call all these other things carbohydrates or carbs. It's not a carb. It's a dehydrating food that basically causes your body to get bigger. So when you think you're doing a thing and you're eating the rice, you're eating cake, you're eating a wrap, you're eating bread, these things is what pulls water and minerals from your body. And this is the reason why so many people become sick and ill, because these things actually take away the minerals in your body and it stops you from getting gains. Many of you want to work out, you want to exercise, and you want to turn that winter gut into a summer butt. But your carbs that you're eating is prohibiting that. You may be exercising, you may be doing glutes twice a week, but eating the wrong kind of foods can prohibit that. And the carbs can actually just go back and store itself into the fat, um, subcutaneous fat area inside of your glutes, and it don't go to the particular muscle, which gives it that round basketball shape. We playing basketball, right? So there's no different types of carbs that you can eat that's going to be hydrating except a fruit or a vegetable. So please keep that in mind. If you are going to eat that, just keep in mind what it is you're eating. Don't let a person say, oh, yeah, you have carbs, because they got the periodic table and they talk about, oh, yeah, this is great. You can eat this. This is on the pyramid. And no, no. Chips is a dehydrating element. It's very dangerous also. You're eating chips, it's oily, it has no nutritional value, there's no minerals. All it does is it goes into your body and it sucks the actual minerals and water out of your body so you can eat a whole bag of chips. Don't feel anything until about 20 minutes later after you finish eating and feel bloated. Why did you feel bloated? Because it's literally created all the water to draw from all different parts of your body so that it expands and it waits until your body can actually digest it. So we have to be very, very careful about carbs. That was my rant about carbs. Let's move on with this protein. All right. So, protein timing, right? The biggest mistake is training hard with no protein structure. I cannot be clear with that. I see so many of my clients walk away and leave and go in that parking lot and drive off. No protein. You don't need perfection. You just need consistency and a good amount of protein. Don't train and then go later on home when you're supposed to be putting the protein in and not go in. And then many of you guys also do this. You'll go and you'll exercise, no protein inside of your car. You'll talk and have a whole long conversation after the gym. And then you'll go home and then you'll cook, you'll make your food about an hour or two later. Instead of having your protein ready in the gym, in your car, right there, right there in your console. That's where it should be. That protein. I would even talk, hey, hell yeah, oh yeah, right? I'd have a conversation and hold on one second. I will go right to my car and come right back in and continue to have my conversation while I'm sipping on that protein shake. That is the fastest way. If we're trying to get towards our goals, please understand what's in front of you and what you have to do. We're going to go really hard with this. So it's all about making sure that we understand what this is. So this week, your goal is not perfect macros. Your goal is protein structure, because structure creates consistency and consistency creates transformation. So we're going to do 3 protein hits daily minimum. Write this down. I want you guys to do 3 protein hits daily minimum, 25 to 30 grams of protein. You need to have a rule with yourself. No more than X hours without protein hit. So you set this based off of your schedule. If we're above, ladies, if we're above 200 pounds, then we need to hit our protein with the vengeance, but we need to cut off our eating times, cut off our carbs at 3 p.m. And protein, our last amount of food and protein with fats would be around 6 p.m. Carbs should be the last thing you have, right, in the evening time. You should be having carbs in at 3 p.m. That is the game. If no one told you that, understand that if you break your fast in the morning time, oh, I don't like to eat in the morning time. Eat in the morning time. Go for a walk before you wake up instead of scrolling on your Facebook or Instagram first thing in the morning time. Go for a walk and increase your appetite. Because having protein in the morning time, the first meal, inside of that eating window, will strengthen your day. And that consistency will create a progress marker, and your strength performance will go through the roof because the stronger you are, the more better you are, you will see yourself get to that goals. Now, after every single thing that we talked about today, the most important thing I want you to understand is this: knowledge without implementation does not change your body. You can understand protein timing. You can understand muscle preservation, like I broke it down. You can understand the importance of distributing protein across the day. But if you do not have a practical way to apply that information consistently, then nothing actually changes in your daily routine. The reality is that most people do not fail because they lack information. They fail because their routine is inconsistent. They miss meals and they make excuses because they're busy at work. They skip protein early in the day because they're busy with work. Their boss said, "Oh, this person didn't come into work." Who cares about that? Your job is going to be there before and after. And you're missing throughout the day. So then you snack, you binge eat on the way home while you're sitting down and driving. More sedentary lifestyle, lower status frame, right? And then by the time dinner comes around, you are trying to fix an entire day of poor nutrition in one sitting. And it doesn't work like that, unless if you're doing the OMAD diet. But this is exactly why we created our Supreme Body Protein, because I realized that one of the biggest barriers people face is convenience. It's not always realistic for someone to cook a full meal every time they need a protein feeding during the day, right? Sometimes you're at work, sometimes you're traveling, sometimes you just finished the workout and you need something fast that will support recovery and keep you on track with your nutrition. This is why our protein was designed to make protein timing really simple. So instead of guessing how you're going to get your next protein serving, you have something you can prepare in seconds that helps you stay consistent with the structure. So instead of snacking, get your protein in, chocolate or vanilla, right? So whether you're using it as your first protein feeding of the day or your last, it can be supported. So inside of Supreme Body Training and Supreme Body University, we always talk about the three pillars that create transformation, which is structured exercise, structured nutrition, and accountability. Protein is one of the most important parts of nutrition pillar because it helps protect your muscle, it regulates your appetite, and it supports recovery after you finish working out and exercising and tearing down your muscle. So when you combine proper protein intake with training and accountability with our check-ins, that is when people start seeing real changes to their body. So, if you're serious about implementing what you learned today, I want you to take that next step and go to our website. Get that Supreme Body Protein and allow it to structure yourself. And we also have a couple of different types of flavors. We have whey, we have pea protein. So please feel free to get it. Now, when it comes to exercise, the last thing throughout the day is you got to start stretching. I'm talking about it again because it makes a whole lot different. When you guys are stretching, you will seeing a total different change inside of your body. And many of us are not hitting that stretch, which is the reason why we do a stretch class. We have Coach Marion that does it at 8:30 p.m. If it's your first time, look, let your friends and family know. Encourage her to join. 8:30 p.m.s are very special, and we want to continue to keep doing it for you guys because we understand that those stretches need to be done on a daily basis. Many of you guys are not getting on it. Now, I know some of you guys work, but who cares? Find the time to stretch because it's extremely important. Okay? Now, protein, get it in. This is what it's all about. And this is how we're going to help you get towards your goals.